Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to a special, I guess you could say, fall edition of my opinions and thoughts on the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book and franchise. Um, First of all, I want to apologize for the fact that I haven't done this in a while. As you probably know, as I mentioned on part 1 of my review for 205, and I will mention it again here, due to financial reasons, I couldn't renew my subscription in time to get issue 205 last month in the mail. Basically, to repeat myself and make a long story shorter than it should be, my overdraft privileges with my bank were suspended, and so I couldn't afford to overdraft maybe $20, actually altogether $50 when you add in the $30 fee, and get the comic. I couldn't do that. So basically I had to wait another month, and after taking care of some bills and stuff like I did the previous month before, I ended up renewing my subscription with Archie Comics, but to make sure I wouldn't have the same problem as I did before, because I had no idea my overdraft was reinstated at the time, but to make sure I wouldn't have trouble as I did before, I ended up subscribing for only 6 issues. So basically, by subscribing for 6 issues, starting with 206, I'll be going to about 211, 212, I believe. So, anyway, I got 205 in the mail through a comic book store that's online called Black Cat Comics, and they are a little bit more cheaper than Mile High. I mean, I like Mile High Comics and everything, but they're a lot more cheaper because they actually have the courtesy to call you up and say, hey, look, would you like to do it UPS, which would cost you more? Would you like to do it a cheaper route, which is, postal service, especially if it's in state? So anyway, that's what I did, and that's how I got 205. But let's get to the reason for this video, and that's my opinions and thoughts on the comic book itself. As we all know, as we saw with 205 and leading into 206, we're getting some very interesting situations going on with all the characters. But after reading and looking at some of the previews covers for upcoming issues, it makes you think. Now, I know next month 207 comes out, and that's the one people are wondering about. What's really going on there? Then, of course, we have 208 that's going to be coming out after that, 209, and then 210. Now, 208 and 209, they're going to be very interesting because, as we saw with the covers, that's basically like an invasion. The Iron Domain has found a way to override the force fields and all that of New Mobotropolis. And basically we find out, and basically we also find out who causes this, what friend kind of falls prey to the Iron Queen's power. And of course, if you see the issue cover for the preview cover for 210 and look at that, and you can find out the Bumble King forms, you see that person is, yes, indeed, Nicole. I hate to say it, but it is Nicole, just like everybody guessed. But there's a reason behind it. Now, we find out that everybody's being legionized. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means everybody's being controlled or being hypnotized or whatever it is. I don't know what's going on. But, honestly, I don't think the legionizing deal, and the controlling of people is going to last long, to be quite honest. I mean, there's something more to this than meets the eye. Because I know Ian doesn't want to cross a line that certain other writers in the past have tried crossing and have failed in doing so. I mean, with Nicole siding herself with, kind of siding with the Iron Domain, I mean, if you look at Nicole's expression on the preview cover for 210, to me, it's almost like, well, I know this is a weird comparison, but it's almost like M. Bison, if you will. That's right. I mean, go back to the Street Fighter games, go back to the Street Fighter animes, and go back to the Street Fighter animated cartoon on the USA Network, and you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that it seems that the Iron Queen has a way of controlling people, doing mind control on things that are techno-mage. And since Nicole's an IE, or an AI, it's easy for her to fall under the influence of the Iron Queen. So, think of it this way. This is almost similar to how M. Bison controls Cammy in the animes, in some of the animes, as well as in the animated cartoon. Because I remember one of the first episodes of the US version of Street Fighter on the USA Network, Cammy was mind controlled by Bison, and we see the end of the episode, her riding off with him. So, anyway, that's what it reminds me of. That's what this whole situation reminds me of. And we have seen this before in other kinds of comics and media. I mean, take a look in X-Men. When Jean Grey became Dark Phoenix, there were many lines in the comic and in the animated adaptation which Dark Phoenix says Jean Grey no longer exists. Basically, it's similar situations. Now, you might be saying, you might be asking, well, what do you mean by similar situations? How does this compare? Well, like I said, you take a look at the storyline. And if you know the storyline of those and how they ended and how the characters came back to the side of good, then you know that that's the same thing here with these characters. That they too, that get legionized, will go back to the side of good. Anyway, that's what I honestly think is going to happen. I mean, well, that's not what I think is going to happen, but that's honestly how I look at the storyline. It's very similar to many that we've seen in the past. Now, you might say to yourself, that's crazy. It can't be. Well, it is. It is exactly how we've seen things in the past, no matter what you say it is. And you take a look at all those comparisons, okay? You take a look at all those comparisons. It's true. It's very, very true. I mean, all Ian is doing, and as much as I respect Ian for the great work he's doing, all he's doing is pulling out the same old tricks that we've seen in cartoons and in other comics time after time after time. And if he thinks he can basically pull the wool over off faces, Ian has another thing coming. Ian's got to come up with an idea that's really going to shock us, really going to surprise us. I mean, who knows? This might be the battle. I mean, let's not forget in the 25 Years Later saga, they say that there's a battle where Nicole dies in. So this might be the battle that Nicole dies in. And honestly, Ian can't keep a character like Nicole bad anyway. She was mostly a good guy in the animated series and afterwards. So he can't do that. Anyway, Lord only knows what Ian's got planned. But all I could say is this. Don't be surprised if a lot of things are similar to what we've seen before. That's all I'm going to say. And as far as the whole Sonic Sally Monkey Kong thing goes, I just say let it play out. Because I've got a feeling Ian's just teasing us with that one. That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing, and he knows it. And really, that's all I have to say on my fall opinions and thoughts on the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book. I hope you have any. If you got some comments, please leave them down here on the message board. And I will talk to you all later. The descriptions of the topics are right here on this side. You see my finger pointing at? And I'll talk to you all later. And God bless. Take care. Peace out.